April 20th, 2015 from Fenway Park in Boston, Massachusetts. It was the Baltimore Orioles versus the Boston Red Sox on Patriots Day. The Boston Marathon was going on at the same time. It started just before the game, and they had the game start early. It's a tradition in New England and in Boston. So the game started around 11 a.m. And on the mound for the Orioles, Wei Yen Chen. And on the mound for the Red Sox, Dustin Masterson. And the Red Sox got on the board early in the bottom of the first inning. Mookie Betts got a single to lead off the inning. Then he stole second. But then he ended up reaching third because of a throwing error by the catcher. So now Pedroia was up, he struck out, and now Ortiz was up, Betts on third, and he hits a sac fly. Mookie Betts tags up, and that put one run on the scoreboard as the Red Sox were up 1-0 over the Orioles. Ramirez would ground out, and that would do it for the first inning of this game. But the Red Sox put one run on the board. Then in the top of the second, Snider led off with a triple for Baltimore. Machado lined out, and that brought up Flaherty. Flaherty hit a double, and that brought in Snider. Now it was tied up at 1 run apiece. Fenway then struck out, and Cabrera grounded out, and that would do it for the top half of the second as the Orioles tied this game up. So now let's go to the bottom of the third. Xander Bogaerts walks to lead off the inning. Then Ryan Hanigan hits a single. Bogaerts on third now. Runners on the corners. Mookie Betts at the plate. And Betts reaches first on an error by Chen. And that brings in Bogaerts. And Hanigan reaches second. So now we have Pedroia up at the plate. It was 2-1 after Bogaerts had just scored. And Pedroia sacrifices Hanigan over to third and Betts to second. So that would make it 1 out with 2 on for David Ortiz. But then Poppy popped out in foul territory. And so now Allen Craig would come to the plate. He walked, so he had the bases juiced, 2 outs for Napoli. And Napoli draws the walk, and so that would bring in Hanigan as the Orioles walked in a run, and the bases were still juiced with the score now 3-1, and Shane Victorino at the plate. Victorino then hit the ball to third. It looked like he was going to be out, but Machado makes the error. Mookie Betts and Allen Craig score. Napoli goes to third, and Victorino ends up on second due to fan interference. So if Machado had made the play, they would have been out the inning. Instead, 2-run score, and it was now 5-1, and the Red Sox were still at the plate with 2 men on in scoring position. And that brought up Brock Holt. Brock Holt walked, and so now Xander Bogaerts came up, but he popped out, and that would do it for the bottom half of the third, but not after the Red Sox had put 4 runs on the scoreboard to take the lead by 4. So now we fast forward all the way to the bottom of the 6th inning. It had been raining in the 4th is when it started coming down. But in the bottom of the 6th, Xander Bogaerts led off the inning with a fly out. Hanigan was hit by a pitch, and then Mookie Betts flies out. So 2 outs, 1 on for Pedroia, and Pedroia hits a double. That brings in Hanigan. It was now 6-1 Red Sox as they led by 5 runs. Big Poppy came to the plate, and David Ortiz was intentionally walked by the Orioles. And so now here comes Allen Craig, and Allen Craig gets a single. That brings in Pedroia, Poppy to second, and it was now 7-1 Red Sox over the Orioles as they extended their lead to 6 runs. Mike Napoli then came up. He hit into a fielder's choice, and they ended up getting Poppy out at third. So now that would bring it close to the bottom half of the 6th, but not after the Red Sox added 2 runs to their lead. And then after the top of the 7th, we try to bring out the bottom of the 7th. They finished the top half of the 7th, but they would actually have a break due to the weather, due to the rain, and they waited about almost 2 hours, about an hour 45, somewhere in that territory, and then they called it. They said, all right, we can't play anymore due to the weather. And so they called the game. They played enough, I believe, after 5 innings, although I'm not 100% on that. They did make it to the 7th, and it was 7-1. They called it, and the Red Sox get the win in this game, as it was called due to weather. Justin Masterson gets the win. He pitched 5 innings. He allowed 3 hits, 1 earned run, walked 3 batters, and struck out 6. Chen gets the loss. He pitched 4 1/3 innings. He allowed 3 hits, 5 runs, none of which were earned. Well, they weren't attributed to him, though, as Garcia was on the hook for a couple runs later. But so then 5 bases on balls and then 3 strikeouts. Of course, it says none were earned, but I don't know about that. I think a couple of them were earned. I know 2 weren't. I think 3 of them were earned. I don't know why it says they were not earned. Anyway, Tozawa, he pitched 1 1/3 innings. He allowed 1 hit and struck out 1. Ross pitched 2/3 innings, didn't allow any hits or earned runs for the Sox. So the Red Sox on Patriots Day, they come up big, and that's a tradition in New England. They usually win. Pedroia had a double. It was only extra base hit for the Red Sox. Flaherty and Ortiz and Snider had extra base hits for the Orioles. Snider had a triple. Flaherty and Paredes each had doubles. Mookie Betts 1 for 4. He scored twice. He had 2 runs. Pedroia 2 for 3, 1 RBI, 1 run. Allen Craig 1 for 2, 1 RBI, 1 run. And Hanigan, he was 1 for 1 with 2 runs in the game. So the Red Sox victorious once again with the final score: Boston 7, Baltimore 1.